I saw a tweet on Dustin today where he's like, if I win, he said after I win the belt, I think I'm just gonna retire and sell hot sauce or stop. And he said something
I
about
think he
stopping and
deserves it.
selling hot sauce. But I mean, I don't think that's a terrible idea nor a bad idea. I think that's probably a really good idea for him because what more would he have to accomplish after that? I feel after he wins the belt, it's probably gonna be like there's no more fourth fight, bro, with Connor. I don't see it happening. Like, cause he did say after he wins the belt, which he's gonna be fighting Charles Oliveira here by the end of the year, and
And it's gonna be in
it's gonna be a
Dustin
good
Poirier's
one in
hometown.
Dustin Poirier's hometown, and we're gonna see Oliveira put in some work and Dustin put in some work on the first time on a grand stage in Louisiana. It's gonna be a good. That's gonna be a good one. I don't know. I think it'll be a split decision. But if Poirier Dustin can, if he can keep that pressure like he always does, the same pressure he brought to Max Holloway, the same pressure he brought to Connor,
He's
oh
gonna have to avoid the
man,
ground though. I don't think he's gonna be up to par with Charles Oliveira's
yeah,
ground game.
Oliveira, he's a python, but hey man, every fight starts standing up. You
Yeah,
know that. It ain't gonna be no flying anaconda flying at your ass, dude. It's
yeah,
gonna
but
be a flying fist. Like, it ain't gonna be like you gotta get me there to get me. So it's until you do that, I'm gonna piece you up, box you up. We're gonna put on I'm gonna put on a clinic. That's and I'm a
yeah.
fighter, so I'm gonna put on a clinic. So it's
I was so surprised by the fact that Charles Oliveira knocked out Michael Chandler. Like I wasn't expecting that at all because in all
he's
honesty,
quicker, he
yeah,
is a little
but
quicker, more agile of a hand,
yeah,
of
but
his
that whole
pace,
fight,
speed, range.
the whole fight was set up in favor of Mike Chandler. Like the and because that whole fight to
Oh, do
begin with
explain.
was kind that whole fight in particular was really odd because it put out a lot of different fighters who deserved the title
No,
shot more
but how
so.
is it? But no, I'm saying like how was it set up for Mike Chandler to
So
win? That was like
Michael Chandler has more of a social media appeal, more of a public appeal, and because of that, the UFC wanted or were more leaning towards like Chandler winning instead of Charles Oliveira because the
you
UFC
sure it
does have a
wasn't
tendency.
about his veteran status he's had in Bellator, or
What
his upcoming fights, or his successful championship reign he's had for several
just
years,
his
holding the
second?
lightweight title in Bellator. Like, dude, we can't just dismiss all
Oh, I'm not
his.
dismissing him, but
That's
he's
why
only
he
had
got
two
that fight.
fights.
But that's why he got that fight. But he dominated those two fights, did he not?
No, he only dominated Dan Hooker, and Dan
Dan
Hooker he's
Hooker, that was a good
fight.
fight, but
It
Michael
was a great.
Chandler was the better fighter that night.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
we're just
Michael
gonna leave it
Chandler
at
needs
that.
to fight a top 3
And
opponent
then who did he
instead
fight
of
after?
Charles Oliveira.
Charles
That's the
Oliveira, which
he
is
got one fight and then he went to the title
because
shot.
he
When
already
there,
had his record, everything he had. Look at his record, and then his
no,
history
but
behind him. On top of his first win, how he won his first win in the UFC, which was pretty. I thought was pretty good.
it was a great
And
win.
since there was no real contender, and Dustin would be the next guy, and Connor got his hands full, can't fight Connor either. So it's like Charles Oliveira, the next, that's the next guy. Mike Chandler was the next guy.
Well, no, there's plenty
Dana
other
asked
people
him
to
and he
replace
took the
him.
fight. Michael Chandler took the fight. That's what it is. He called, he took the fight. Like that's
It's because they set it up for it to be in Michael Chandler's
like
favor
if someone
because
if your boss called you and said, "Hey Josh, you want to fight fucking the number 2 ranked lightweight in the world, and then if you win, you can fight the champ." Hell, absolutely.
but Dan
fucking
Hooker
yes,
isn't
Unison.
the number 2.
But
If
he's
he
ranked.
he's ranked, but he's not number 2. If he was in the top 3, then it'd be a different
He
ball
doesn't
game.
have to be
You-
up there. He's
so
ranked. That's the whole
well,
point.
no. So you defeat the number 10 ranked fighter.
Dan Hooker's
So you
like
immediately
7
get
or 8, I think.
7 or 8. So you immediately get to jump the other 6 people that have already done more for the promotion than
Those
him.
people were busy or either taking
No.
a break.
Dustin Poirier was free at
Justin
the time.
Gaethje,
Justin Gaethje was free at
no,
the
he's taking
time.
a break. That's why, dude. If do you think
No, Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier both tweeted out saying that this title fight between Oliveira and Chandler was bullshit because it just completely ducked them. I don't know. I personally
or
feel
they literally had their hands full, or they didn't get no phone call, or nothing
no.
was negotiated. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. All right, a closed mouth does not get
And
fed.
people,
You gotta speak up.
yeah,
You gotta
they were
literally
speaking up.
launch your character and career into a next millennia. Like Connor didn't just get all that handed to him. He worked, clawed, scratched for
To
all
an
that
extent,
money.
to an extent, he was given a golden hand, a golden spoon.
Fame status, everything, knocking people out in fashion, cleaning out an entire division, and then destroying the pound for pound king for over a decade and a half in under just about 13 seconds. Like, what more? And then becoming a double champ and simultaneously having two belts. Like,
But
what more do you really have to do in
But
that
see,
sport?
no, that proves my point exactly. Favoritism. Favoritism does occur. The fight between Oliveira and Chandler, it was favorited towards Chandler because it's the easiest setup for a victory. Why else do you think Charles Oliveira, for his first title defense, he should have it in Brazil? He should have it in Brazil, but his first title defense is taking place in Dustin Poirier's hometown, which means that Dustin has the home field advantage. How is that not
He
favoritism
has the
towards
home field
Dustin?
advantage, but the people aren't fighting for you, man. You are.
But
People don't fight for you.
that's favoritism right there.
How is that favoritism, dude? If anything, Charles Oliveira, he don't really care. He wants to fight, dude. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah, he
cool
doesn't
if
care,
they
but it doesn't
asked him,
mean that the
hey,
favoritism
Charles,
isn't there.
do you want to fight in the next two events in Brazil? He'll be like, yeah, okay, so this first one's going to be in Louisiana. If you win, the rematch is going to be in Brazil. Boom, done right there. Bam, went done and done. Because if he wins, they could rematch in Brazil. They both win because Dustin will win in his hometown. Then if he gets the rematch and wins in his hometown, they both technically win. But it could go either way. It all depends. Like the better fighter is that night. It all depends. These guys are out here working their asses off, and
Yeah, but the
like,
favoritism still happens because there's been plenty of fights set up, like in Conor McGregor, for example. There were fights set up to purposely be in his favor. Whether it's like as you've said before, like they're just what's the term for it?
well,
Fight
he's been
like
losing his last fights. None of those are in his favor.
well no what
He's not even winning them.
well no that I'm not talking about those fights. What I'm talking about is the favoritism that happens because like a prime example is Stipe Miocic.
If it's not recent, should it be relevant? Is that what I'm saying? Like, all his recent fights were losses, so it's like nothing was really.
But
handed
you
to
see,
him.
Conor has
If anything, he was like, the Dana was like, "You want to fight this guy?" And he's not gonna be like, "No." So he was like, "Yeah, I want to fight him," because he's always gonna say that. But it's like, yeah, some fighters maybe like Khabib gets handed. I think Khabib probably gets handed a lot. Like I feel like honestly, in my opinion, his record is like halfway padded up. Like half of those 20-something wins you got right there, like who are those guys?
And
like,
padded wins comes with favoritism from the promotion. There are
but
plenty
I'm
of
saying Khabib's
Chandler.
got the favoritism.
No, yeah, but he isn't the only one. John Jones has gotten the favoritism. DC has
he's
gotten
been
it and
champion
everything.
undefeated for like a long ass time, and he's
Yeah,
never
but-
lost. So
but
you got to
beca-
be the champ. You got to beat the champ. No one's beating the champ. So as far as I'm concerned, John Jones can get a piece of that pie if you really want to get down to it.
No, I got no problem with that. But here's a prime example.
He's
How come
winning
John
every
Jones?
fight.
How come John Jones gets away with PEDs and all these other different big issues
What
versus Nick?
PEDs?
Literally cocaine, all the reasons why he was banned multiple times, but then he was getting
I was
favoritism.
like,
How
John
Dana
Jones
White
never take
moved.
no PEDs.
How
He
Dana White moved an entire event just for John Jones to be able to fight. Like they switched an entire state for John Jones
Hey man,
specifically.
when you're a star and you're the champ and you're the cream of the crop and you're a
And
cash
that's
cow,
favoritism.
you get whatever you want. No, that's
favoritism though.
that's-
Because how come Nick Diaz gets banned for 5+ years for marijuana?
that was before it was
That was around
legalized.
that
That was before
cocaine
it was
isn't legalized.
No,
And yet John Jones
not
gets away with it.
cocaine. Yeah, and he was charged and arrested for all that bullshit. And he literally was in court week after week after week paying his dues. He served his time for all that. He ain't done no cocaine since last time I seen him. He was out there in the riots stopping 2 kids from tagging a building.
Yeah, but
that's a good service.
My point is that the favoritism is real because how come an entire event is moved for John Jones, including to avoid USADA regulations, when Nick Diaz, for example, was banned for 5 years off of marijuana? There's a very drastic difference, and that's an example of favoritism. There are certain fighters that get more favoritism than others. I'm not saying it's like happens everywhere.
They earned it.
Not all of them.
Fucking earned it. Yeah.
Not all of them.
Good majority of them, and I say good a majority of them. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying a majority of them do.
But like some people get the short end of the stick too. Like Stipe Miocic, like every single when he lost to DC.
If Stipe, like I said, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. If DC called Dana White or showed up and like Dana White said, all you gotta do is call me, man. Like he's the boss. He's your boss. If you want a certain fight, you want things, and you're a cash cow, and you're the heavyweight champ of the world, and you got a good reason to say that I want this here, and there. Call him. He's a phone call away.
No, so
call
here's
your
the
boss and ask him. I guarantee he'll give it to you.
see, here's the thing, and I followed the entire breakdown of it too. When Stipe lost to DC, they completely overlooked.
There's no, oh, we
No,
didn't give
they
him nothing.
completely,
Call me.
instead of giving Stipe, and Stipe, he did make several attempts to reach out to UFC for a rematch against DC, but instead what happened is that DC was given another fight, and then Stipe had to wait.
No, not
And
UFC, bro. Dana White. Don't reach out to UFC. You reach out to your boss, Dana White. Fuck the UFC. The
Dana
UFC
White
is
is
the promotion. You talk to Dana White is your boss. They have connections, Dana White, bro. They
yeah,
can
and
just call him
Stipe
up.
was talking to Dana White as well. It's the thing is that no matter what, Stipe was making all the necessary moves
He's
to
the
try
only
to get
heavyweight with most title defenses, I think, actually.
yeah, but he's not.
Set a
He's
record.
being thrown under the bus and neglected because when he lost to DC, he wasn't given an immediate rematch. Instead, he was actually passed over. And then when Stipe won, DC was immediately given a rematch.
But we got to think of alternatives too. Like, what if he's taking in like Stipe's a part-time firefighter too, right? You know?
Yeah, but he said
that's a government job.
he publicly stated that he was completely ready and wanting a rematch. So there's no excuse there for anything else coming up or him putting
he
stuff
doesn't.
off.
But you know what I'm saying? That
He genuinely wanted to, and
they
he
got pre-booked events, like way pre-booked
the
ahead. So
Derek
if you want
Lewis,
an event, you need to ask for it. Like
he
I said,
did.
dude, call him.
He
Okay,
did.
well, I mean, it's like they don't make everything public. They don't put everything on the internet.
But
like,
Stipe did. That's what I'm trying to
but
explain.
my
DC,
other point is they probably had a conversation where we don't know about. Like, they had a conversation that's not going to be seen by the human eye. It's definitely a behind closed door conversation that they're not just going to be like, oh, yep, our next conversation blasted over the internet. No, they have probably one good conversation in the ones that are important to them where they're like, oh, I feel like I'm frustrated. I feel like this needs to go out on social media. That's what they do. Like Connor, he puts his shit out because he's like feeling some type of way and then he takes it down right away because he knows it's going to get a lot of backlash. He puts it out in the heat of the moment and then literally takes it down. So
except for the stuff with the comments on Khabib's dad.
Khabib's dad, eating the children,
and then he doubled down on it. Which the eat the children, that's taken a line from Mike Tyson.
I didn't really get that. Eat the children.
Mike Tyson said that after one of his fights. It's
still a weird line. Like,
yeah, but that's something he just kind of quoted from Mike Tyson. But the rest of it was like, it kind of went too far on that. Like, no, it's Stipe. After he lost to DC, he just got dropped off the face of the planet. The same thing has happened after he lost to Francis Ngannou, and he's expressed over several years now distaste for the fact that
he beat DC in their third fight, so he actually didn't lose on his last fight.
Well, no, that I'm not. Well, he lost to Francis, but what I'm talking
Francis, that's
but what I'm talking
DC,
about though is
got
that
knocked the fuck out by Francis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, but what I'm talking about is that after Stipe lost to DC, he just got completely thrown under, and then after he won, it was great again. But then after he lost to Francis, he got thrown under again.
But also after that knockout, which was a horrendous knockout, I shall say. Stipe received a 6-month medical suspension, so you have to take those 6 months, and then on top of that, his 6 months, he's got his firefighter job to do. So if shit's popping and going off with his firefighter job, he's got to be there 100% for his government job. That pays the bills also. But so until then, he's gonna be kicking back, training, going to being a firefighter until he gets the call or until a closed mouth doesn't get fed or until he speaks up and calls Dana White again and bugs the hell out of him. You'll get the fight, dude. I promise you. That's all you got to do is bug your boss. Like, you bug a job to get the job. You know, 9 times out of 10 they give it to you because you bug them. Pretty much same situation. So it's like literally he bugs him, bugs him. He'll be ready by the time it's booked. He'll be ready to go, 100%. That's how it goes. But he received that. I'm pretty sure he received a 6-month medical suspension after that. So he got the 6 months. And whatever comes after he wants to do after that. So he'll probably be chilling, waiting, or doing his, like I said, firefighter job. It's probably getting serious because I know fires would be happening every day right now. It's hot. Things are catching fire. ACs are blowing the hell up. Aliens are coming by and snatching them and shit off people's houses, and shit's hitting the fan. So it's literally they're catching fire, and it's nuts. So it's like a lot of things are going crazy with the firefighter departments and everywhere, and he's got a government serious job. And
he was recently on a podcast with Jake Paul talking like openly speaking up about him feeling neglected and constantly pushed off and thrown under the bus by UFC and by Dana White.
How long ago was it?
This was within like the last couple weeks or month.
This was a 2-week old video. You're saying
this is No, this is a prime example. Stipe openly expressing distaste, openly saying that he has made several attempts to Dana White and the UFC promotion to try to get these fights and everything, but he's openly advocating that he feels like he's being neglected and everything. And now even Sean O'Malley is now speaking out against like UFC fighter pay and stuff like that.
Well, because once like a sheep follows a shepherd, like, and once some one person says it, they're all gonna start speaking up. So literally, I forgot who spoke about it, but someone spoke about the pay, and then
Paulo Costa was one of
Paulo
them.
Costa, and then everyone starts speaking about the pay. Like literally, well, if you're really good and at the peak of your career and really work your ass off and you win a lot and you win in spectacular fashion, you kind of get given pay-per-view events, a lot of money, fame,
And you earn that right
everything,
too.
promotions. I mean promotions. Sorry. Um, Endorsement deals,
Mhm.
whatever. You get all that stuff
Yeah.
if you win. Yes, that comes with you, that all that stuff if you win. Yes, all these guys are winning and they earn that stuff. Israel Adesanya has been winning. He just went out and bought a McLaren.
Yeah.
He earned that. He's not. He's got a lot of money, but he doesn't show it. And that's how I think you should, carry yourself when you're rich, quote unquote
Yeah.
rich. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Well, and like yeah, like I
or
feel
very wealthy is the correct term.
yeah, and it's always like a gray complicated area because there are fighters that yes deserve more pay and everything that are underpaid. Like I feel like Stipe is a pretty good example of that. But then there are other fighters who will think
Like
that they're
John
worth
Jones shouldn't be undefeated for almost like
yeah.
several years and still be getting $500,000. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
John Jones, I feel like
Like
he does deserve to be able to ask for more
he's over
money.
here getting 1 million and Connor's getting 5 million.
Yeah.
He got 5 million. Dustin Poirier 3. Connor Poirier 3. He got 5 million. I think Poirier got like 1.4 million or 2 million or some shit
Yeah.
like that. But it's like 5 million right there for that one. Like, can you imagine just getting
Yeah.
5 million